exclusively fluff and patting each other, mostly the Meg, on the back, there's really only 3 big takeaways from Meghan Markle's appearance on the Jamie.
In what's being labeled a career-damaging embarrassment, beauty mogul and best-selling author Jamie Kern Lima has openly criticized Meghan Markle on her newly launched podcast, calling the Duchess of Sussex a liar, a fraud, and the architect of a staged, scripted, and disingenuous interview. The episode, which is rapidly going viral, left listeners stunned when Jamie confessed, "The interview I had with Meg was completely fake."
New material desperately. There is a lot of recycled stuff throughout here, which isn't a surprise because whenever Meg is given an opportunity, it's immediately squashed by her.
It was all scripted. Every emotion was carefully crafted. This shocking revelation has reportedly left Meghan furious behind the scenes, as it not only harms her already vulnerable public image but also exposes the artificial nature of her media appearances. For a woman who has built her post-royal career on a foundation of truth-telling, emotional openness, and empowerment, this explosive betrayal could not have come at a worse time.
But herself nonstop. Second, there's one big difference between people who are well-known or famous public figures, whatever, who become loved.
Now, the entire structure is beginning to collapse, and the flaws can no longer be ignored. One of Meghan Markle's most powerful branding tactics has been her appeal to emotional truth. Whether discussing mental health, racism, motherhood, or her royal journey, she presents herself as vulnerable, hurt, and courageous. However, Jamie's revelation has exposed the truth behind the scenes, lifting the veil to show that before the recording.
Meg and Harry do all the time, and then they wonder why people don't like them. Third takeaway, Jamie Kern Lima is the source material for the Meg's new character debuted in 2025.
Meghan's team provided talking points, planned emotional pauses, and even requested specific camera angles to highlight her vulnerability. Jamie claims it felt more like directing a Netflix series than having an honest conversation, especially for someone who has criticized others for being disingenuous. If Meghan's authenticity turns out to be fabricated, this revelation is truly devastating.
Podcast. But first, let's discuss this sort of character trait mooching that the Meg is known to do. I now understand, after this podcast experience, which was crazy corner of the internet.
What remains? Jamie might be the first to speak out, but she's not the first to notice. Producers who have worked with Meghan at Spotify, Netflix, and even Archewell say her fixation on controlling every aspect of her image is well known. A former Spotify executive shared with The Cut, "You never saw the real Meghan. You only saw the version of herself she wanted to portray at the time." Jamie's podcast has opened the door to this truth. Many in the industry have been wary of her carefully crafted persona.
Going for at the moment. She is going for this inspirational self-love sort of a vibe, I believe. Let me explain. As fleeting as it surely will be. Remember, we've talked about Meghan Markle.
Now, even some of Meghan's supporters are quietly admitting the undeniable truth. She engineers vulnerability to gain public sympathy, and that can be seen as a form of manipulation. This critique isn't coming from a disgruntled journalist or royal expert. Jamie Kern Lima is widely admired for her journey of overcoming rejection, creating a brand centered on authentic beauty, and championing women's empowerment. Her books are bestsellers, and her speeches often draw packed audiences.
This tour video, I will link it for you up here and in the description box. Basically, Meghan has a tendency to sort of create a character for herself in a way that she then sort of tries on for a while. She tries to sell it for a while before.
Her authenticity is what drives her success. So, when someone like Jamie speaks out, claiming Meghan lied, it carries weight. On the podcast, she even confessed, "I stayed silent for months, but after hearing people call that episode the most powerful thing they'd ever heard, I couldn't stay quiet anymore. It was all fake." Jamie wasn't trying to stir up drama. She was looking for truth and transparency.
Diana really seems to fall into this category of a means to an end. She did that to try to lure Harry or gain more control over Harry, who knows? It was obviously something to do with Harry. Other times it feels like the Meg's...
And that search for clarity has now erupted into chaos for Meghan. Sources close to the Duchess report that she's in full meltdown mode. One insider disclosed that Meghan was furious, pacing around and demanding her team take down the episode and issue a public apology. But Jamie isn't backing down. She's standing firm with a follow-up Q&A set for next week, promising even more proof. The public is closely watching.
human because she doesn't have a strong sense of self and hasn't really developed her own identity. She has a habit of pulling traits from those around her and mirroring them because she erroneously thinks it's a shortcut to bonding with someone, or it could be something else entirely.
Hollywood is buzzing. Meghan's brand is faltering. And it only took one woman's truth to unravel a carefully crafted empire built on illusion. The whispers are growing louder about what Meghan allegedly said off mic during the taping, and why Oprah may now be pulling away.
And stuff, it's like totally in that vibe. And so it's clear that she's operating in this space of positivity and faith and self-help, self-love, stuff like that, which is totally fine. That's not where I'm going with this. I'm not criticizing that tangent. She speaks in this sort of permanent, uplifting, over-the-top.
And now, Meghan's carefully crafted emotions are being scrutinized more than ever before. Stay tuned, because this story is only getting started. Jamie Kern Lima's revelations didn't stop at calling the interview fake. What really left listeners shocked was her assertion that Meghan, during off-mic moments, completely dropped the emotional facade. According to Jamie, as soon as the cameras stopped rolling, Meghan's demeanor changed instantly. Her warmth and tearful vulnerability disappeared. She went from being soft-spoken and heartbroken to cold, businesslike, and even condescending. Jamie described it as unsettling. The real Meghan was nothing like the image she tried to project. This moment shattered the illusion and cast doubt on the idea that Meghan is the victim she claims to be.
Critics of this sort of a genre would say that it's a little bit like preying on somebody who's down and out, getting them to spend money on books or seminars that are supposed to turn on the self-love or unblock their mental barriers holding them back or change their lives through positivity and faith. That a lot of people argue that is.
The story is unraveling, and the impact on Meghan is undeniable. As sources close to the Duchess reveal, her brand is on the verge of collapse. One of the biggest consequences of Jamie Kern Lima's explosive revelations is the shift in how Meghan is viewed, no longer as a misunderstood royal but as a master manipulator of public sympathy. What was once seen as raw emotional truth is now being dissected as a carefully crafted performance. Jamie's podcast did more than just expose a fake interview. It revealed that Meghan, behind the scenes, shifted from portraying vulnerability to adopting a more cold, calculating persona. This stark contrast in behavior has shocked many, and now even Meghan's supporters are privately acknowledging the manipulation. Jamie's comments are causing waves, especially as her statement that this isn't about Meghan, it's about truth and integrity resonates with many. She's promised to unveil more, including the full recording that captures Meghan's real persona off-camera, and the world is now watching. Meghan's camp has gone into full crisis mode, but the damage may already be irreversible. The Duchess, who once cried in front of the camera to prove her authenticity, is now being publicly branded a liar by Jamie, whose entire platform is built on realness. The internet is in an uproar, with hashtags like #MeghanExposed and #ScriptedSympathy trending worldwide. What's even more telling is that even some of Meghan's previous defenders are now questioning her sincerity. One former supporter expressed, "I stood by her when she said the royals didn't protect her, but now I feel betrayed." This is no longer about the royal family versus the media. It's Meghan versus the truth. Inside sources from the royal household suggest a sense of quiet vindication. For years, Meghan spun her own version of events while Prince William, Kate Middleton, and the late Queen maintained dignity in the face of accusations. Now, the balance of power is shifting, and the truth seems to be emerging. Reports suggest that Meghan's past collaborators, including Netflix, are growing concerned about continuing their partnerships, especially if more of the tapes are released. After Netflix cancelled its $20 million deal following just one season, and rumors swirled about Dior pulling back from a potential fashion partnership, Meghan's financial stability is now in jeopardy. Hollywood operates on trust, and Meghan may have just lost her credibility, which is more valuable than anything else. Jamie's revelations are also putting a spotlight on Archewell, the foundation that Meghan and Harry built. Donors and partners are now questioning the authenticity of the impact stories that the foundation promotes. What was once seen as a charitable mission is now being viewed by some as a PR stunt. Jamie's podcast could very well blow away the smoke and expose the foundation's true intentions. Ironically, Jamie Kern Lima, once a minor figure in Meghan's orbit, is now being hailed as the true voice of authenticity. She's a self-made billionaire who champions integrity, transparency, and realness. Unlike Meghan, she doesn't demand the spotlight but has earned the respect of the public for her courage in speaking out. A viral tweet summed it up perfectly. Meghan Markle gave us drama. Jamie Kern Lima gave us truth. Guess who we're listening to? The tide has clearly turned.